Afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, my people. What is going on out there in the world? So this is your boy Charles Tank Harris, President, CEO of Wealth Our Way, financial planning firm, financial literacy firm, where we teach people that wealth is not only for the wealthy. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. We're doing a 5-part series. This is day 3 of the 5-part series of building wealth from scratch. One of my TU family members asked me he said, Tank, just break it down for the cats that have never invested before. Break it down for the cats that, are working. We're trying to put some money to the side, realizing that one day we won't be able to work. One day we want to accomplish things like buy a second home. We want to accomplish things like send kids to college, pay for weddings. Tell us the different ways that we are able to, carve out money from a budget, create a budget, and get ourselves in a position where we can start to accumulate wealth and grow and close this racial wealth gap, which is just running rampant and setting life in America on blaze. If we look in the streets, we don't have to turn very far, TV, computer, whatever, and we see the social injustice that continues to go on. And I'm just a firm believer that social injustice will continue as long as there is no as long as there is no monetary equity. We have to close the racial wealth gap. Hey, love, what's going on? It's my girl. Thank you for stopping through. I always love the support. So today I'm going to talk about the third step in the series of building wealth from scratch. So on Monday, we talked about just carving out a portion of your income, dedicating that portion to savings and investments. We talked about creating a budget. On day 2, we talked about the best use of a dollar. We talked about how to make the most of every dollar that you dedicate to savings and investments so that you can grow your net worth. Now, when you go on our website, www.wealthourway.com, which I would beg you guys to go to every day. Your boy Big Tank has paid a lot of money and continues to pay a lot of money for this information to be available to you for free. There's a glossary of terms on there. So if there's anything that I say during these live broadcasts and you don't want to inbox me like I tell you you're welcome to do, you don't want to email me, you don't want to call me, just write the term down, go on the website. I'm pretty confident you can find the definition there, find a video that explains it. I'm blog posting on there now. There's all types of information to help you increase your financial literacy, build wealth. All of the talk that one of my really good friends who went to Temple with me, my boy Brew, everybody knows Brew, is my guy. Brew said to me during a conversation one night, which actually was the last spark that made me create Wealth Our Way, which was, we just never talked about this over the dinner table in our households. And that reality has to end. So this is the dinner table. This is the lunch table. This is where we're going to come and get this knowledge. If you don't know, ask somebody. That's a phrase that everyone knows. I'm the somebody. If you don't know, ask me. I'm going to tell you. So today we want to talk about, we've carved out X% of our salary to invest. We've chosen the vehicles either through our work-sponsored plan, we paid a little debt down, we opened up a Roth IRA, we did these various things. What do we do once the money is actually going to get put into an investment vehicle? Well, let's wind back a little bit. I have this example that I use to teach my clients what they are actually buying. A lot of times I realize, because I am 22 years of being in the investment and brokerage industry and the insurance companies and everywhere that I have worked. Hey, Chantel, what's up? Thank you, Boo, for stopping through. I realize that my knowledge is up here. Although, everybody knows I come from West and Southwest Philly, grew up on food stamps, so I also understand knowledge down here with finances. I try to translate what I know from up here down here, and sometimes things get lost. So I want to break this down the way I break it down for my clients when they come to me. I draw them a picture of a house. And when I'm drawing them a picture of a house, hey, Andrea, I also I'm a horrible drawer, so it's a very simple house, an A-frame house. I show them that the house has rooms in it. And then inside the room, I'll draw furniture. Now you're asking yourself, what is this man talking about? How does this relate to my investment accounts? Well, this is very simple, because although I'm a friend to the people and I love to educate and make people more financially literate, I do have some pet peeves. And one of my pet peeves is when people incorrectly say what their investments or insurance do. So one of my really, really good friends and a client, she called me up one day. She said, Tank, I want you to start handling my money because my IRA only makes 3% where I have it. Da, da, da. I said, oh, your IRA doesn't make 3%, babe. Your IRA is an account. Inside the account, you have some investment vehicle or savings vehicle. That vehicle is making 3%. The account itself isn't making anything. And she didn't appreciate me pointing that out. What's up, bull? Ariane, what's going on? She didn't appreciate me pointing that out, but I had to say it because it's important that we know what we're talking about, because when we want to make moves or we're talking to other people, we want to not be in a position where we're being taken advantage of. So let me go to my house, room, furniture example or analogy. When you decide to invest your money somewhere, let's say you're walking into a brokerage firm or a bank or an insurance company, that building, that company, think of it as a house. That's the house you've chose to do your business at. Once you're in that house, you're going to decide on what type of account to get. Maybe you're there to get an IRA, which is an individual retirement account. Maybe you're there to get a life insurance policy. Maybe you're there to get a taxable brokerage account or a trading account if you're looking at like a Robinhood or an E-Trade. Whatever those are, those accounts are the room compared to a house. Lastly, you're going to put something in that account. So if it's a Robinhood account, it may be 5 shares of a stock that you like. If it's a bank account, it may be a CD. If it's a insurance company, it may be a mutual fund inside of an annuity or inside of a variable policy. That is the furniture. It is actually the furniture that goes up and down in value. It's not the room. It's not the house. So New York Life didn't lose you or gain you any money. Your IRA didn't lose you or gain you any money. That bad mutual fund that you picked that's inside of your IRA, that's housed at New York Life, that lost you your money or made you your money. So it's important that we understand that type of terminology. I'm all about getting the proper terminology. So with that being said, we're going to talk about the furniture today. We've already talked about you open an account, either it's your 401k or 403b at work, or it's an IRA at a brokerage firm or a no-load firm. But now what are we going to put in there? So what I have all of my clients do is complete a risk tolerance questionnaire. And you can go on W.W.W.WealthOurWay.com. I pointed this out earlier this week. You can go under the tools tab, under all calculators, and then or videos, and then you'll see investments, and under the investments you'll see risk tolerance questionnaire or risk tolerance something. I don't know what it's called. It's risk tolerance something though. You go there, you click on that, they'll ask you 10 questions, you answer the 10 questions, it'll spit you out a score, and it'll tell you numerically and in words what your risk levels are. Once you know that, the next thing that I would do as your advisor is I create for you your asset allocation. We talked a little bit about asset allocation before. Asset allocation, and I'll keep it very high level. Normally people think of asset allocation and they think of 3 major categories. There are more, but we're going to talk about 3 major categories: stocks, bonds, cash. Those are the 3 major categories. Inside of those categories, there are subcategories. Inside of stocks, you can have international stocks. You can have large cap domestic stocks, mid cap stocks, technology stocks. You can have all these different individual sectors inside of that subset. Inside of bonds, you can have high yield bonds, what used to be known as junk bonds. You can have corporate bonds. You can have government bonds. And then cash, there's a lot of different cash equivalents. People think cash is just cash. It's not the case. Cash value life insurance is valued as cash. Money market accounts, CDs, banker's acceptance. There's a lot of different instruments that are the equivalent of cash. So once you have these three asset classes denoted, we would work from your risk tolerance questionnaire to find out what percentage of your money goes into each. 22 years ago when I got into, they didn't do a lot of investment objectives and risk tolerance questionnaires. They used to use like crude ways of figuring out how much you should have in each. And what they told you was, however old you were, that's the percentage of bonds and cash you should have. So if you were a 35-year-old, 35% of your money should be in bonds and cash, 65% in stocks was the old way of thinking about it. And then of that 35%, you may say, I'll put 30 in bonds, 5 in cash, and that was your portfolio. It was 65% stocks, 30% bonds, 5% cash. Once you had that asset allocation, you would pick the particular investments that match that allocation. It was that simple. Things have changed. The world is, shrunk. We have international borders. We do business with everybody. And you have to be a little more discerning when you put together your asset allocation. The other thing that I do for my clients is I create what is called an investment policy statement. What I learned when I first got to work at Smith Barney 22 years ago was that you couldn't manage a college endowment, a pension plan, anything governed by ERISA. ERISA is an acronym. Federal government protects retirement accounts, and you can look that up. You couldn't manage anybody else's money if you were a fiduciary, which means you have responsibility to do the right thing by people's money, if you didn't have a written investment policy statement. So my question was, if they make the people who are managing the biggest pools of money in our world have to have this statement, why doesn't everybody? Well, it's a good idea that we all have a written investment policy statement that controls our emotions. One of the things that I have learned in my investment advisory career, back when that's all I did, was that emotions get in the way of successful investing. So it's great to know what your risk tolerance is, what your investment objectives are. That helps you create your asset allocation. And then we can craft an investment policy statement that tells us, hey, under no circumstances do we ever let one stock be more than 10% of our holdings. Under no circumstances do we ever have less than 8% cash in our portfolio. These are guardrails that you write out before you start investing. And you can always turn back to this investment policy statement when times get uncertain. So you go back to March of this year, COVID struck, market went down 30%. I still have people, hey, I should move all my money to cash. What does the investment policy statement tell us? It tells us we never have more than 35% of our portfolio in cash. So that's as far as we're going to go. You may revisit your investment policy statement and make adjustments, but I'd like you to think about it like the Constitution of the United States of America, which we know doesn't always work in our favor, so spare me. But they've amended it, but they've never changed the Constitution. So when you have an investment policy statement, you carefully and prudently build that statement, and you may amend it from time to time, but you ride that thing out like it's the Bible, because it is. It's what guides your decisions before you get emotional about your money. So that's today's lesson. I went 15 minutes. I just start running the mouth and it goes off, but we're going through a 5-part series. So Monday, we learned that we have to put the money aside. We have to budget what portion will go into our savings and investments. Yesterday, we learned that when we are building out our investment portfolio, we want to make sure that we know what portion goes to our retirement planning, what portion will go to pay down debt so that we can have a higher net worth to invest more later, what part should go into a Roth IRA versus a non-Roth IRA. And today we're learning that we need to have a risk assessment for ourselves so that we can create an asset allocation, and then we need that all monitored with a good investment policy statement. I am bringing you guys along slowly because I really want you to get this information and learn it and have it ingrained in your head. So be patient. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm here every day, 12:30. And hey, Joe, TUMF, baby, I appreciate you stopping through. That's my man. It's my old head right there, Joe Greenwood. So you guys, by all means, this video will post to the WOW site. It'll also post on the Wealth Our Way site. So it'll post on Facebook. And I want you guys to keep coming back if you have any questions. If I went through anything too quickly and you can't get that glossary term on the website, inbox me, email me, tank@wealthourway.com, and I will make sure you get the answer that you need. I appreciate you all for stopping through. I'll see those of you who choose to come back tomorrow, 12:30. Take care.